By the way, okay, when God says that, He says that this sacredness, when you are doing this, you are believing, you are remembering what Christ has done.
और जब हम प्रभु भोज लेते हैं तो हम याद करते हैं कि यीशु मसीह ने हमारे लिए क्या किया.
So that's why He says, confess there's anything that we have committed against Him.
और इसीलिए हमें जो परमेश्वर से माफी मांगनी है.
Remember, Jesus said to Peter, I need to wash your feet.
और यीशु मसीह ने पतरस से कहा था, मुझे तेरे पैर धोने होंगे.
But He said, wash me whole.
और फिर पतरस कहता है कि मुझे फिर पूरा धो दो.
Peter said, no, I'm not going. You are already saved. Only your feet is dirty. Those need to be washed.
आप उद्धार पाए और सिर्फ आपके पैर गंदे हैं.
Okay, when we live in this world, a dust will come into our hearts.
जब हम इस दुनिया में रहते हैं तो जो मिट्टी है हमारे हृदय में आएगी.
Okay, that's why we need to confess sins regularly.
और इसीलिए हमें लगातार जो है पाप को स्वीकारना है.
Okay, so just take few minutes.
इसीलिए हम कुछ पल लेंगे
and ask forgiveness.
और परमेश्वर से क्षमा मांगेंगे.
And then when you are ready, when you finished with that, go behind and take the cup and the bread and just hold it in your hand.
और जब ये हो जाए तो आप पीछे जाकर जो एक कप और ब्रेड ले सकते हैं.
And then Ajay will come and do the communion message, okay?
और फिर हम संदेश.
As that is going, we'll also have a song going on, okay? Yes.
प्रभु भोज में जाने के पहले जो मैं एक वचन पढ़ूंगा जो यशायाह की किताब से है, अध्याय 53 और वचन 5. ये अध्याय जो अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो इसका यीशु मसीह का वर्णन किया गया कि किस तरह जो यीशु मसीह ने हमारे पापों के लिए जो है उसने अपना बलिदान दिया। तो मैं वचन पांचवा आपको पढ़ूंगा। परंतु वह हमारे ही अपराधों के कारण घायल किया गया, वह हमारे अधर्म के कामों के कारण कुचला गया। हमारी शांति के लिए उस पर ताड़ना पड़ी कि उसके कोड़े खाने से हम चंगे हो जाए। हम तो सब के सब भेड़ों के समान भटके गए थे, हम में से हर एक ने अपना मार्ग लिया और यहोवा ने हम सबों को के अधर्म का बोझ उसी पर डाल दिया। तो अभी जो है हमने क्लास में भी सुना कि किस तरह जो है हम इस दुनिया में जो है भटके हुए थे, लेकिन ये परमेश्वर ने जो है हमें चुना। और वचन कहता है कि जैसे हमने सुना कि परमेश्वर ने जो है अपनी धार्मिकता जो है हमारे ऊपर डाल दी। और यीशु मसीह जो है एक निष्पापी, उसमें एक भी पाप नहीं था और वो निष्पापी था, लेकिन हमारे सारे पाप जो है उसको उसके ऊपर जो है डाले गए। कि पिता ने जो है हमसे इतना प्रेम किया, जो यूहन्ना 13 कहता है कि उसने अपने इकलौता पुत्र जो है हमारे लिए दे दिया। तो ये प्रभुभोज के समय जो है हम ये सब चीज़ें याद करते हैं। तो आइए हम खड़े हो जाएंगे और पहला कुरिन्थियों अध्याय 11 से मैं आपके लिए पढ़ूंगा। क्योंकि यह बात मुझे प्रभु से पहुंची और मैंने तुम्हें भी पहुंचा दी कि प्रभु यीशु ने जिस रात को पकड़ाया गया रोटी ली और धन्यवाद करके उसे तोड़ी और कहा, यह मेरी देह है जो तुम्हारे लिए है, मेरे स्मरण के लिए यही किया करो। तो ये जो हम रोटी जो है हम लेते हैं, प्रभु यीशु मसीह का शरीर जो हमारे पापों के लिए जो है उस क्रूस पर लटकाया गया था, उसके शरीर को दर्शाता है। और हम याद करते हैं कि किस तरह जो है उसने कोड़े खाए, किस तरह उसने लोगों के जो मार खाया और केवल हमसे जो प्रेम करता था, इसलिए जो है उसने ये सब किया। तो आइए हम याद करेंगे और ये रोटी लेंगे। इसी रीति से उसने बियारी के पीछे कटोरा भी लिया और कहा, यह कटोरा मेरे लहू में नई वाचा है, जब कभी पियो तो मेरे स्मरण के लिए यही किया करो। क्योंकि जब कभी तुम यह रोटी खाते और इस कटोरे में से पीते हो तो प्रभु की मृत्यु को जब तक वो न आए प्रचार करते। तो जो दाखरस जो है यीशु मसीह का जो लहू उसने हमारे लिए बहाया था उसका एक चिन्ह है। और उसका लहू से जो है हम आज शुद्ध है, हम धर्मी ठहराए गए हैं और उसने जो है हमें स्वर्ग जाने के लिए जो है हमें बनाया, लायक बनाया। तो आइए हम दाखरस लेंगे। प्रभु हम धन्यवाद करते इस दिन के लिए, धन्यवाद करते आपके अनंत प्रेम के लिए। हम धन्यवाद करते पिता, आपने हमें बचाया, आपने हमें चुना है पिता। ये प्रार्थना प्रभु यीशु मसीह के नाम से करते हैं।
Let's all stand for the worship.
There is no rock, there is no God like our God. No other name worthy of all our praise. The rock of salvation that cannot be moved, He's proven Himself to be faithful and true. There is no rock, there is no God like ours. There is no rock, there
situation, Lord, there is an anchor that we can hold on. And it's you, and it's your name, Lord. That's why we say, blessed be your name. No matter what the situation is, no matter what we are going through. Your name is blessed, Lord. You are faithful in every situation, Lord. We continue to praise you, Lord, because you are worthy of it. You give it all for us, Father. We continue to worship you, Lord. We pray this in the name of Jesus Christ.
कमर के बीच में तू कहता है थम जा, तू मेरी ताकत है, तू ही मेरा ईमान। कमर के बीच में तू कहता है थम जा, तू मेरी ताकत है, तू ही मेरा ईमान। बीत कल में तू साथ मेरे था, आज भी मेरे साथ है खड़ा, और आने वाले कल में भी होगा। उठते हुए तूफानों में तू ही मेरी चट्टान, बढ़ती हुई लहरों में तेरे कदमों के निशान। बीमारियों में तू कहता है उठ जा, यहोवा राफा, तू ही मेरी शिफा। बीमारियों में तू कहता है उठ जा, यहोवा राफा, तू ही मेरी शिफा। बीते कल में तू साथ मेरे था, आज भी मेरे साथ है खड़ा, और आने वाले कल में भी होगा। उठते हुए तूफानों में तू ही मेरी चट्टान, बढ़ती हुई लहरों में तेरे कदमों के निशान। उठती हुई लहरों में तू ही मेरी चट्टान, बढ़ती हुई लहरों में तेरे कदमों के निशान। Yes, God. This morning as we stand in your presence, God, we know, God, what you say is true. The Bible tells us that you walked on top of those waves, Lord. And Lord, whatever waves are there threatening us this morning, God, we know that our God is the God who doesn't drown in the storm, but He walks on top of the waves, God. And today we learned, Lord, that we are hid with you. We are with you, Jesus, Lord. And we know that when we are with you, no storm can drown us, because we are with you. And you are over every storm, God. You are King over all, God. And so this morning, we still our hearts, God. We still our souls in your presence, God. We want to be still. We want to silence, Lord, all those stormy sounds around us, God. And we say, yes, storm, you are there, but my God is greater still. Yes, storm, you can threaten me, but my Jesus overcame sin, death, and what else can threaten me when my God has taken care of the major, Lord? The storms that I face are nothing before the God that I serve. the God of heaven and earth. Lord, you are the ones who calmed the storms for the disciples. And throughout the centuries, Lord, you have been faithful, Lord. You have a track record of being faithful, God. And that's why we can be at peace, God, in the storms, knowing that our God is the Lord of the storm. Your footprints are there, Lord, over the storm waters, Lord. Only you can stand on the storm. We thank you for that this morning. That is the God we serve. This is our God. Still our hearts, Lord, that we be able to listen to your voice, God, and not the voice of the storm, but your voice this morning, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hey, how are you all doing? Good? Can we give yourselves a big hand? Morning, church, once again. Okay, good to see all you. Okay, so we had a beautiful morning already. Great worship. Just quick announcements and the message. Okay. Okay, what we have for the announcements. Okay, Nisha and Abhijit's wedding anniversary. All of us go to our home on the 22nd. Okay, 22nd. Okay, go back a little bit. Okay, 22nd February is their wedding anniversary. Okay, just remember them and okay, just pray for them. And then Kiran and Sangeeta are the family of the week. You know Kiran, isn't it? Now pray for Sangeeta if you want to see Sangeeta. Okay, so just pray for them as a family. Okay, and rest all is common. Okay, we started the Bible school this week. Okay, we had taught 3 classes. Okay, this is Sunday and then Wednesday 1 class, Friday 1 class. By the way, we had about 33 students for Bible college this semester. You can give God a hand for that. It's beautiful. Okay, it's beautiful. Okay, just quickly, I wanted to run through these pictures. Okay, just see the pictures and enjoy them.
और मैं चाहता हूँ आप ये pictures देखो.
Toilet is also. Okay, did you like the pictures?
क्या आपको अच्छा लगा ये
How many of
pictures?
you like the pictures?
कितने लोगों को अच्छा लगा?
Okay, everybody liked it. Okay, so we are planning an overnight, okay, mini camp.
और मिनी कैंप का जो
Okay, one night camp. Is that good?
एक रात का कैंप.
Okay, it's going to be in Vasai itself.
और वसई में रहेगा वो.
Okay, it's right on the beach.
और बीच के just
Okay, the resort is here, beach is there. Okay, so it's going to be amazing. It's costing you 1,500 per person.
और मुझे 1500 रुपए पर पर्सन
Okay,
होगा.
this includes stay.
और इसमें रहना होगा.
Okay, in a dorm. Okay, you saw the dorm. It's a good dorm. Okay, and also with the food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
ब्रेकफास्ट लंच और
And
डिनर भी
evening
है.
tea and snacks. Is that good, Ankita? You like the place? Ankita said yes. Okay, so we can go ahead. Okay. So it's going to be, dates will be announced soon. Okay, we need to check with all the exams happening.
और तारीख आपको बताई जाएगी.
Yesterday we went and saw the place. It's beautiful. Okay.
और कल हम गए थे और बहुत ही अच्छा जगह है वो।
Okay, so that's just I just showed it. Okay, this is where we're going to have a fellowship time also.
और यहाँ पे संगति कर सकते हैं।
Okay, so that's, can we close that? Okay, yes. Okay, one verse today we will read from Isaiah chapter 43, verse 2.
और यशायाह 43 वचन 2 पढ़ेंगे।
I was thinking about those songs and I was remembering this verse.
और मैं ये जो गीत सुनकर ये वचन याद कर रहा था।
Okay, you can also sit, no problem. You already stood so long. Okay, it says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they will not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be scorched, nor will the flame burn you."
जब तू जल में होकर जाए मैं तेरे संग रहूंगा, और जब तू नदियों में होकर चले तब वे तुझे न डुबा सकेंगी। जब तू आग में चले तब तुझे आग न लगेगी, और उसकी लौ तुझे न जला सकेगी। Lord, we thank you for this verse, Lord. Speak to us, Lord, and help us, Lord, to understand it in all and store it in our hearts, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for your word, Lord, which has eternal life, Lord. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray.
Okay, for the overnight thing, okay, registration has already begun. Okay, we had already 2 registrations yesterday, sir. Okay.
कैंप के लिए जो रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑन हो
You
गया
can pay GPay on Ajay's number.
और आप
Okay.
मुझे जो जीपे कर सकते
Okay,
हैं,
so the more confirmations will get a plan better.
और
Okay.
जल्दी कंफर्म होगा तो अच्छा होगा।
Okay, just I was thinking this morning. Okay, it's going to be a very good message.
और आज बहुत ही अच्छा संदेश होगा।
Okay, so I titled this series as Sudden Storms.
और इसका जो शीर्षक है वो जो अचानक तूफान पर है।
Okay, and we will do one more message mostly next week.
और शायद एक और संदेश होगा इस पर।
Okay, but think about it. Okay, do you ever experience sudden storms in your life?
क्या आपके जीवन में कभी अचानक तूफान आए हैं?
Okay, what was the recent sudden storm? Anybody?
और क्या वो अचानक तूफान था आपके
Okay,
जीवन
of course, the COVID was a sudden storm.
और कोविड था।
Okay, we are locked up in our homes for 2 years.
हम घर पे बंद थे 2 साल।
Okay, you can imagine for a moment how it was.
और क्या आप सोच सकते हैं कैसा था?
Okay, we were running for buying the provisions. It was 1 hour we got.
हम जो राशन जो खरीदते थे एक
Okay, and we
घंटे
would
में।
come to our homes, remove our clothes, and go into our house, have bath, and just sit in. Isn't it? It's a crazy
अभी
season.
कपड़े निकाल कर हम जो नहाते थे और फिर बाहर आते थे।
Okay, sudden storms can come into our lives.
और तूफान जो अचानक आ सकता है।
Just 2 things I wrote it down about storms. Storms come suddenly.
और ये जो तूफान है वो अचानक आते हैं।
I grew up in Vizag, very close to where Bay of Bengal is.
और मैं जो वाइजैक में बड़ा हुआ हूँ जहाँ पे बे ऑफ बंगाल है।
Okay, Bay of Bengal is known for storms.
और वहाँ पर जो है बहुत तूफान आते हैं।
Okay, it's not like Mumbai that you have a seasonal rains.
और ऐसा नहीं कि मौसम में बारिश हो।
Suddenly things change in a cloud,
अचानक चीजें बदल जाती
and
हैं
then there's a huge storm.
और फिर तूफान आता है।
Okay, so that is Bay of Bengal.
और ये जो है बंगाल की
Okay, so it's amazing. Storms come suddenly.
और तूफान अचानक आते हैं।
Even in our lives, storms come suddenly when you're least expected.
जब हम सोचते ही नहीं तब तूफान आ जाता है।
A storm of death of the loved ones.
और घर में जो है किसी का मृत्यु हो जाता है।
Okay, storm of a financial situation.
या फिर पैसों की तंगी हो जाती है।
Okay, a storm of sickness. Suddenly, doctor says you're diagnosed with so and so.
या बीमार हो जाते हैं, डॉक्टर बोलता है ये हुआ है।
Okay, these are all sudden storms.
और ये अचानक आने वाले तूफान है।
Number 2 about storms, it does not spare anybody.
और ये तूफान किसी को छोड़ता नहीं।
Do you know that? It doesn't spare anybody.
वो किसी को नहीं छोड़ता।
It didn't spare disobedient Jonah.
और योना को नहीं छोड़ा जिसने अनाज्ञा किया था।
It didn't spare the disciples who were obedient in the storm.
और वो उसने चेलों को भी नहीं रोका जो नाव में थे।
Okay, and then he didn't even spare Jesus. He was in the storm.
और फिर यीशु को भी नहीं छोड़ा, वो भी
Okay.
तूफान में थे।
Can I put this in the front? So he didn't spare anybody. How many of you think that it can spare any of us?
और कितने लोग को लगता है कि ये तूफान आपको नहीं छोड़ देगा आपको?
Come on, talk to me today this morning. Okay, we are 11 o'clock now.
और अभी 11 बज गया, बात कीजिए।
Okay, you can talk. I know morning is difficult, but 11 o'clock you can talk. Okay, is it it will spare us?
क्या वो आपको छोड़ेगा?
The storms will come.
तूफान आएगा।
It can come suddenly in our lives.
वो अचानक आएगा।
Okay. And but in Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3 is, okay, what you do in those storms is very important.
और आप उस तूफान में क्या करते हो वो महत्वपूर्ण है.
Okay, one of the things that Jesus did in that storm was he was sleeping in the peace of God.
और एक चीज यीशु मसीह ने किया कि वो सो रहा था परमेश्वर में.
Okay, in our storms we could also rest.
और हम तूफान में जो है आराम कर सकते
The
हैं.
best award for the painting got with a man who painted a huge storm.
और एक व्यक्ति ने एक पेंटिंग किया था जिसे अवार्ड मिला जहाँ पे तूफान था.
Huge storm, he painted the whole storm.
उसने जो एक पेंटिंग किया
The
जिसमें
trees
तूफान था
falling down and everything.
और झाड़ गिर रहे थे.
But in the midst of the storm, he also painted one tree.
और उस बीच में उसने एक झाड़ जो है पेंट किया.
And then in that tree is one little bird singing song.
और उस पेड़ पर एक जो चिड़िया थी जो गाना गा रही थी.
Okay, and that painting got the best award.
और उस पेंटिंग को सबसे बड़ा अवार्ड मिला.
The theme that the painter wanted to portray is peace in the midst of the storms.
और जिसने वो बनाया था उसे ये बताना था कि तूफान में शांत रहना.
Okay, and Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3 is a great verse.
और ये वचन जो हमने पढ़ा हुआ
He says, "You keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed in the Lord,
और जिसका मन परमेश्वर पे लगा है उसको वो शांति में रखेगा.
and who trusts in the Lord." The verse continues.
और जो उस पर विश्वास करता है.
Those who trust in the Lord in the storms of life, they could have perfect peace in the midst of the
और जो उस
storms.
पर विश्वास करते हैं उनके जीवन में शांति बनी रहेगी.
Isn't that beautiful? Can we trust God in the storms of life?
क्या हम परमेश्वर पे भरोसा कर सकते हैं उस समय
And that He will never leave us nor forsake us.
कि वो मुझे कभी नहीं छोड़ेगा, कभी नहीं त्यागेगा.
Okay. And today I want to take you to a story. Turn your Bibles to Job, the book of Job.
और आप अय्यूब की किताब में जाओ.
Okay, it's a very interesting passage.
और बहुत ही अच्छा जो है वो
Okay, we'll do an expository message. That means I'll read some passages and then we will comment. Do you know where is Job? Anybody? Book of Psalms.
Before Psalms.
But he's in heaven today. Okay, Job. Okay, it will not be a long message, but a very great message.
और लंबा संदेश नहीं रहेगा लेकिन अच्छा रहेगा.
Okay, Job chapter 1.
अय्यूब एक.
Okay, Hindi people, okay, you can translate. Okay, there was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that the man was blameless, upright, fearing God, and turning away from evil.
उस देश में अय्यूब नाम एक पुरुष था. वह खरा था
Well, can I get the pen there?
और
Yeah.
सीधा था और परमेश्वर का भय मानता और बुराई से दूर रहता था.
Okay. I like, I'm not this one, but the other one. Okay, everybody can see the board?
और क्या आप बोर्ड देख सकते हैं?
Can see the board, everybody? Yes? It's good. Okay, here is Job.
और यहाँ पे अय्यूब है.
Okay, in his house. I made it like a heart. Sherry has drawn. She said my drawing is bad. Okay. Here is Job.
और यहाँ पे अय्यूब है.
Okay, I'll just draw him as a Job. Okay, Job. Okay. He looks like a Job. He has 3 hands. But Job was 4 things about Job.
और 4 चीजें अय्यूब के बारे में.
He was blameless.
वो जो है बुराई से दूर था.
That means nobody can point a finger upon his life.
और कोई उस पर उंगली नहीं उठा सकता.
What a life, isn't it?
और कितना अच्छा.
By the way, these are 4 characteristics of a believer too.
और ये 4 स्वभाव होने चाहिए विश्वासियों में.
If you are growing to be a believer and you want to walk with God, this is very important that we remain blameless.
और आपको अगर ईसाई जीवन में चलना है तो आपको खरा होना है.
Number 2, he also walked uprightly, or a man of integrity.
और वो जो बुराई से दूर था और भय मानता था.
That means integrity means he did the right things when nobody else is watching him.
और वो चीज करता था जब कोई देख ना सके.
And thirdly, he was fearing God. That means he kept God as number 1 in his life.
और वो परमेश्वर का भय मानता था और उसे पहला स्थान देता.
And fourthly, okay, he turned away from evil. He hates what God hates.
और वो नफरत करता था जो परमेश्वर नफरत
By the way,
करता
as
था.
a believer, you and me should hate what God hates.
और एक विश्वासी होने से हमें वो नफरत करना है जो परमेश्वर नफरत करता है.
Are you with me this morning?
और क्या आप मेरे साथ हो?
Okay, these are 4 characteristics that Job had.
और
4
ये 4
characteristics.
स्वभाव अय्यूब के पास थे.
Okay, let's go forward. Okay. It says, okay, he had 7 sons and 3 daughters.
उसके जो 7 बेटे और 3 बेटियां थी.
Okay, 7 sons. 7 sons. Okay, and 3 daughters. 3 daughters. Yes.
7 बेटे 3 बेटी.
And then he had his possessions also where he has 7,000 sheep.
उसके पास 7,000 भेड़ थी
He had 3,000 camels.
और 3,000 ऊंट.
In today's world, it's the Mercedes cars.
और जो आज मर्सिडीज कार है उसकी
He had 500 oxen.
500 बैल थे.
Then he had, what else he had? He had 500 female donkeys.
और 500 गधे थे उसके पास.
Okay, and many servants.
और बहुत सारे सेवक थे.
Okay, and then his sons. Okay, this is what they all had. This is what Job had.
और अय्यूब के पास ये था.
Job also had one more thing. Anybody?
उसके पास और एक चीज थी.
Wife is there. Okay, wife. Some of you are very not leaving your wife off. Okay, but he also has in his life.
और उसके पास परमेश्वर भी था.
Okay, this is very important. He has God.
उसके पास परमेश्वर था.
Let's go forward. His sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat, drink with them. When the days of the feast had completed their cycle, Job would send and consecrate them, rising up early in the morning and offering burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "Perhaps my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. Okay, he has children, but they didn't have what? They're not walking with God.
और उसके बच्चे जो ये परमेश्वर में नहीं चल रहे थे.
Are you listening? Okay, very important. The reason I'm doing this is so that it just sticks into our brains.
और ये मैं इसलिए कर रहा हूँ ताकि आपके दिमाग में जाए.
So what did Job do? He would pray for them.
अय्यूब उनके लिए प्रार्थना करता
He's
था.
praying for them. He's praying every day for his children.
वो हर दिन प्रार्थना करता
When
था.
your children are not walking with God, as parents, you have a very important role.
अगर आपके बच्चे परमेश्वर में नहीं चल रहे तो आपका अलग रोज
You don't become like them,
आप उनकी तरह नहीं बनते.
but you become you set a standard in a home,
और आप कुछ नियम लाते हैं.
and then you say, I don't care whether you follow God or don't follow God. I'm going to follow God, and I'm going to pray for you that God will turn around your life.
और मुझे नहीं पता आप परमेश्वर के पीछे हो या नहीं. मैं चलूंगा.
Okay, there was a man. His name was the guy who wrote the Amazing Grace,
और उस व्यक्ति ने जिसने अमेजिंग ग्रेस गाना
and he was
लिखा,
living in sin.
वो पाप में जी रहा था.
And his mother prayed for him that he would be turned
और
to
उसकी माँ
God.
ने प्रार्थना की उसके लिए.
And one day John Newton turned his heart to God, and he's the one who wrote that beautiful song, Amazing
और
Grace.
एक दिन जॉन न्यूटन का उद्धार हुआ और उसने
Okay,
गाना लिखा.
parents can't say, "Oh, my children are living in sin, so I leave it." No, you have a very huge responsibility that God has given you.
और आपके पास जिम्मेदारी है कि आप अपने बच्चों को जो परमेश्वर में
Okay, this is very, very important in our lives.
ये महत्वपूर्ण है.
God has you. Your first church comes your family.
और पहला जो चर्च आपका परिवार है.
And as if you are a single parent or a double parent, you have total responsibility upon them.
और आपकी पूरी जिम्मेदारी है उनके लिए.
Okay, what else? What else we'll read about it? Let's go. So now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before God, and Satan also came about them. The Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come from?" And then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From roaming about on the earth and walking around on it." The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job?" Okay, just pause there. Okay, Job had 2 things. He had God,
अय्यूब के पास 2 चीज था, परमेश्वर,
and he was also what? Walking by faith.
और वो विश्वास से चल रहा था.
Okay, what as believers do we today?
और आज हम क्या करते हैं?
We have
विश्वास
God.
से.
We also walk by faith.
हमारे पास परमेश्वर है और आप विश्वास से
Then
चलते
there
हैं.
is something else. This is called the supernatural.
और ये जो है स्वाभाविक से भी ऊपर है.
Okay, can we see this?
क्या हम ये देखते हैं?
We can't see this.
हम नहीं देख पाते,
But what happens here is affected here.
लेकिन वहाँ पर जो हो रहा है वो इस पर प्रभाव डालता है।
Job had no idea what God and Satan had conversation.
अय्यूब को नहीं पता था कि शैतान और परमेश्वर क्या बात कर रहा है।
That's where Paul said in Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12, your battles is not against the flesh and the blood, but the spiritual realm.
और पौलुस ने कहा कि तुम्हारा युद्ध जो है आत्मिक है, वो शारीरिक नहीं।
When you become a believer, you are in a battlefield that you do not see.
और विश्वासी होने से आप उस युद्ध में हो जो आप देखते नहीं।
So here is a conversation. Okay, Satan saw everything on this earth and he reports to God.
शैतान ने सब कुछ देखा पृथ्वी पर और वो परमेश्वर के पास गया।
And God says, where you been?
और परमेश्वर कहता है
God is not interested where Satan has been.
और परमेश्वर रुचि नहीं रखता उसमें।
He's interested about you and me.
वो आप में रुचि
Because the
रखता है।
next verse says, God is interested about Job.
परमेश्वर यूसुफ के लिए
He
रुचि
said,
रखता
did you
था।
consider my servant Job? I don't know what Satan, you went somewhere, I don't care about it. But I'm considered about Job.
और मैं जो अय्यूब के बारे में सोच रहा हूँ,
This is what God talks about Job. He says he was blameless, upright, fearing God and turning away from evil.
और परमेश्वर ने अय्यूब के बारे में कुछ कहा कि वो खरा है।
What kind of believer God is pleased with?
और परमेश्वर किस विश्वासी से खुश होता है?
Come on, repeat it with me. The four things.
चार चीजें।
Blameless, integrity,
खरा होना,
fear of God,
भय मानना,
Turns away from evil.
turns away from evil.
और जो बुराई से दूर रहता है।
For such believers, God is talking about them there.
और ऐसे विश्वासी के बारे में परमेश्वर बोल रहा है।
Do you want to talk about you in heaven? We all want it, isn't it?
और हम सबको चाहिए ये।
Look at my servant Kiran, or look at my servant Deepika, look at my servant Aparna.
और मेरे सेवकों को देखो,
They walk with God.
वो परमेश्वर में चलते हैं।
They walk with God. Nothing can touch them.
कोई उन्हें छू नहीं सकता।
Okay, listen to the next thing. Okay, now Satan answered.
अभी शैतान ने उत्तर दिया।
Okay, Satan is always has an answer.
शैतान के पास हमेशा उत्तर होता है।
Okay, he says, he laughed, I believe.
और फिर उसने हंसा जोर का।
And he said two things.
दो चीजें कहा।
Oh God, don't tell me he is worshipping you for couple of reasons.
और उसने कहा कि वो आपको दो कारण के लिए आराधना कर रहा
Number
है।
one, have you not made an edge around him,
और पहला क्या आपने उसके लिए सुरक्षा नहीं बनाई
around his house,
उसके घर के
on
आसपास
every side?
हर एक कोने से।
Wow. By the way, I want to ask you a question. Do you know that
क्या आपको पता है ये
there's an edge around you?
कि आपके पास सुरक्षा है?
Lot of believers do not know, but Satan knows.
बहुत लोगों को नहीं पता लेकिन शैतान को मालूम है।
Psalm 34 verse 7 says, angels of the Lord encamp around those who fear him and he rescues them.
स्वर्गदूत उन लोगों के पास रहते हैं जो उसका भय मानता है।
Wow, isn't that beautiful? Hey God, this guy is serving you because you have put an edge around him.
और ये आपकी सेवा कर रहे हैं क्योंकि आपने उसके आसपास बाड़ा बनाया है।
Okay, Jeet, come here. Okay, you just put an edge around him.
और आप उसके आसपास बाड़ा
He is worshipping. Can you worship God? Raise your hands. Okay, it's because you surrounded him. He is safe. That's why you're worshiping. He is worshiping you. Stay there.
सुरक्षित है इसलिए वो आपकी आराधना कर रहा है।
Okay, and it's amazing. Like God, today, you know why? You're protected every day. Do you know that God saves you from so many accidents?
क्या आपको पता है परमेश्वर आपको एक्सीडेंट से
Do you
बचाया
think
है?
it's because of you following the rules?
और क्या वो आप है क्योंकि आप रूल फॉलो कर रहे हैं?
God protects us.
परमेश्वर करता है।
This week, me and my wife were driving. Suddenly, one young teenager is just driving rashly. They just came. I don't know when I put the brake and just put it and it worked.
और एक बार जो है पास्टर
I knew it was the angel who put the brake.
और स्वर्गदूत ने जो है वो ब्रेक दबाया जब एक्सीडेंट होने वाला था।
Why I'm saying this is because our life is protected.
और हमें जो सुरक्षित रखा गया।
Don't think you are some superhuman or superwoman.
और ये मत सोचिए आप महान व्यक्ति हो।
Do you know that God protects our lives?
क्या आपको पता है
And
परमेश्वर
Satan
रक्षा
says,
करता है?
because of this guy is worshipping you.
और इसके लिए ये आपकी आराधना करता है।
Number two, you can go. Okay, you have blessed his hands, work of his hands.
और आपने उसके हाथों में आशीष
Oh, I thought you are doing everything. That's why you're bringing the money in the house.
और आप सब कुछ कर रहे हैं इसलिए आप पैसा ला रहे हो।
How many of us think that way?
कितने लोग ये करते
I
हैं?
am working. Sometimes we get angry with our parents and I am working and getting the salary.
और कई बार हम अपने माता पिता पे गुस्सा होते, बोलते हम कहाँ
Listen to
गए?
what Satan says. You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. God, you have blessed his hands. That's why he could work and make money, and could have 500 donkeys, 700 sheep, 3,000 whatever.
और परमेश्वर आपने उसको आशीष दी, इसलिए वो आपको आराधना कर रहा है।
Can you imagine that for a moment?
वो क्या आप सोच सकते हैं?
Many times we think we are working, that's why we're getting money.
कई बार हम सोचते हैं हम काम कर रहे हैं इसलिए पैसा आ रहा है।
God, if it's not God, our hands would not work.
और अगर परमेश्वर नहीं तो आपके हाथ काम नहीं करेंगे,
Our legs would not work.
आपके पैर काम नहीं
It
करेंगे।
surprises me when people say, I'm working today, so I cannot come to the Lord.
और मुझे
I couldn't come to the church.
होता है कि मैं आज काम कर रहा हूँ इसलिए मैं चर्च नहीं आ रहा।
Come on. Come on.
और आइए आप,
God has given you those things.
परमेश्वर ने आपको दिया है
We need to be very careful.
और हमें बहुत सावधान
Satan
रहना है।
knows about it, believers do not know it.
शैतान को पता है लेकिन विश्वासियों को नहीं।
God has given those things to me.
परमेश्वर ने वो चीजें दी है।
Heck with that job which doesn't allow me to serve the Lord and worship the Lord.
उस काम को दूर रखो जो मुझे परमेश्वर से दूर कर रहा है।
So God says, okay, you think that's why he's worshiping you?
और परमेश्वर कहता है कि अच्छा इसलिए वो आराधना कर रहा है मेरी।
No, he worship me because he loves me.
वो मेरी आराधना कर रहा है क्योंकि वो मुझसे प्रेम करता है।
Listen to it. Take away. I'm going to give you full charge, Satan.
और मैं आपको कुछ चीजें करने दूंगा।
Just go and remove. I'm removing the edge around him.
और मैं बाड़ा जो है हटा रहा हूँ उसका।
But one thing, you will not touch his life.
लेकिन एक चीज कि आप उसका जीवन मत छुओ।
And let's see you would still worship God.
और देखो कि वो अभी मेरी आराधना करता है कि नहीं।
Isn't that good? Imagine God could challenge. He could trust Job in his life. God can trust each one of us in our lives.
परमेश्वर हम पर भरोसा कर सकता है।
What if God says that about you, Satan, to anybody of us in heaven?
और क्या अगर शैतान हमारे बारे में उसको
Does Job know anything about this?
क्या जोब को पता है ये सब?
No. He doesn't know anything.
और उसको कुछ भी
He
नहीं
is
मालूम।
walking with God.
वो परमेश्वर में चल
He
रहा है।
has God in his life. He is walking with God.
उसके पास परमेश्वर है।
Listen to the next verses. Okay, next verses is all destruction. Okay, I will not talk about it. What happened? Satan took the chance.
और शैतान ने मौका लिया।
Okay, मौका पे चौका मारा. Okay, that's what Satan did. He sent a storm.
उसने तूफान भेजा।
Okay, sudden storm.
अचानक तूफान।
What happened?
क्या हुआ?
Okay, his children died.
उसके बच्चे मर गए।
His sheep is gone.
उसकी भेड़ मर गई।
His servant is gone.
उसके सेवक चले
A
गए।
storm took the roof away.
और जो तूफान ने जो है वो छप्पर हटा दिया।
Shappan, that's what it's called. Chat. First floor is gone. Can you imagine one storm? Everything is gone.
और एक तूफान से सब कुछ चला गया।
Everything is gone.
सब कुछ।
But what it stayed back?
और क्या रहा?
What stayed back? Of course God, but who else? Job.
और अय्यूब बचा रहा।
Job and God stayed back here.
अय्यूब और परमेश्वर
The
बचे
storm
रहे।
took away everything.
तूफान ने सब कुछ लेके गया।
This is beautiful thought today. A sudden storms will come in your life.
और तूफान
If your
आएगा।
life is not surrounded with God and if you're not walking by faith, I want to tell you the chat will be उड़ जाएगा.
और अगर आप परमेश्वर में नहीं चल रहे
I'm telling you that will gone off.
वो चला जाएगा सब कुछ।
You have anything that is not of God will go off
अगर कुछ भी परमेश्वर का नहीं वो चला जाएगा
in a moment.
एक क्षण में।
That's what a Christian life is.
और एक ईसाई जीवन है।
Job was walking with God.
अय्यूब चल रहा था परमेश्वर से।
No, I just put some things. Average Christian doesn't lives his life as if he doesn't have an enemy.
और एक साधारण ईसाई इस तरह जीता है कि कोई उसका दुश्मन नहीं है।
Do you know that?
क्या आपको पता है?
90% of Christianity lives that they don't have an enemy.
90% लोग ऐसे रहते हैं कि उनका दुश्मन नहीं है कोई।
Average Christian thinks he can manage things without God.
और आम ईसाई ये सोचता है कि वो परमेश्वर के बिना कर लेगा।
90% of them.
90%।
They think they can do things by themselves. They don't need God's help. Most of the
वो
things.
सोचते परमेश्वर की जरूरत नहीं है।
Sadly, average Christians has no walk with God.
और उनका कोई चलन भी नहीं परमेश्वर के साथ,
God in life comes maybe in the end.
और परमेश्वर शायद आखिर में आता है।
Okay, in our church we teach this principle. Okay.
हम चर्च में ये बताते हैं।
Okay, I don't know where I'll draw. Okay, maybe in this corner. I want this picture again. Okay, this is very important.
और ये महत्वपूर्ण है।
In our church, we teach the importance of God.
और हम चर्च में परमेश्वर को महत्व देना सिखाते हैं।
But we don't control people.
लेकिन हम लोगों को नियंत्रण नहीं करते।
But we'll say, follow this, your life would be great.
लेकिन हम कहते हैं इसके पीछे चलो और आपका जीवन अच्छा होगा।
We say in your life, God should be number one.
और पहला परमेश्वर होना चाहिए।
He should be number one in your life.
सबसे पहला।
He should be number one. Turn to your neighbor and say, God is number one in my life. Number two comes your spouse.
दूसरा जो है आपका पति या पत्नी।
Your spouse. This is very important. Nothing else. The second important person in your life after God is your spouse.
और दूसरा महत्वपूर्ण व्यक्ति जो आपका पति या पत्नी होगा।
The third person is your children.
तीसरा आपके बच्चे,
Because they are your first disciples.
क्योंकि वो आपके पहले चेले हैं।
Okay, when I say God, your walk with God, your fellowship with God, your church, coming and following God.
और परमेश्वर मतलब आप चर्च में आना और उसके पीछे चलना।
And then ministry.
और फिर सेवा।
Ministry comes number 4.
सेवकाई चौथे नंबर पे।
And then comes your job.
और फिर काम आता है।
And then comes your extended relatives.
और फिर आपके रिश्तेदार।
Do you think many people follow this?
और क्या लोग इसके पीछे चलते हैं?
I'll tell you today's world order.
और आज मैं बताऊंगा दुनिया के बारे में। पहला चीज रिश्तेदार।
I don't know how many people you have that every day they get married. Isn't it? In today's world, relatives comes number 1.
और रिलेटिव पहले
Maybe
आते
for
हैं।
some it is job.
और यह हो सकता है कि नौकरी,
Then comes relatives.
फिर रिश्तेदार,
Okay. Then comes what else?
और फिर क्या
Okay.
आता है?
Children.
बच्चे,
Then spouse.
फिर पति या पत्नी,
Okay. Then church.
फिर चर्च आता है,
Okay. Then God.
फिर परमेश्वर।
Do you think your life would be in order?
क्या आपका जीवन अच्छे से चलेगा?
No.
नहीं,
Because Proverbs 11:1 says, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord. God cannot bless it.
परमेश्वर जो है आशीष नहीं देगा।
Whether you like it or not like it, that's what the Bible says.
और चाहे आपको पसंद आए या ना आए।
Okay, average Christian has no idea how much devil hates and envies our lives.
और ईसाई लोगों को नहीं
He
पता।
says, okay, you became a believer.
आप विश्वासी बने
Now let him follow this order.
और अभी इसके पीछे चलो,
So you will not follow God and His purpose.
ताकि वो परमेश्वर के पीछे ना चले।
Did you like this?
क्या आपको अच्छा लगा?
Couples, your children are not important. Your husband or your wife is most important thing after God.
और परमेश्वर के बाद आपके बच्चे,
Your children will get married and go.
उनका शादी होगा वो चले जाएंगे।
Your husband or your wife will stay with you forever till they live.
आपके पति या पत्नी ही रहेगा आपके साथ।
Spend more time with your husband, not with your children.
आप उनके साथ समय बिताओ।
Are you listening? This is very important. Okay, so He stops us from when we become born again. He puts us in this schedule
और अगर हम विश्वासी बनते हैं तो हमें वो ऐसे डालता है
so that we don't be useful for His purpose.
ताकि हम उसका इस्तेमाल ना कर
He
पाए।
will hinder our walk with God
वो हमारे चलन को रोके
so that we will not be useful for His kingdom of God.
ताकि हम जो उसके काम के नहीं बने।
No, true believers are always in a battlefield,
और सच्चे विश्वासी हमेशा युद्ध में रहते हैं
and they go to God for help in prayer.
और वो प्रार्थना करते हैं परमेश्वर के पास।
So after Job had everything, lost everything in a moment,
वो अय्यूब सब खो दिया उसने,
but he has God, isn't it?
लेकिन उसके पास
Coming to
परमेश्वर
the
है।
end of the message, listen carefully. Okay, I like the next verse. Let's read verses 21 and 22. Okay, then Job arose. Okay, when he lost everything, what did he do? He stood.
तो अय्यूब खड़ा हो गया
and shaved his head, and he fell to the ground and worshipped God. I like that, isn't it? When you lose everything, when you have God, you could still worship God.
अगर आप सब कुछ खो दोगे लेकिन परमेश्वर है तो आप आराधना करोगे उसकी।
Are you listening today? You could still worship God.
आप आराधना कर सकते हो उसकी।
Okay, worship God when it's very easy to worship God when things are going good.
और आसान होता है जब चीजें अच्छी जा रही
But
हैं।
Job worshipped God when he lost everything.
अय्यूब ने आराधना की जब उसके पास कुछ भी नहीं था।
Because why? His order is right. He had God as number one in his life.
क्योंकि परमेश्वर उसके जीवन में पहला था।
Okay, and then he says, "Naked I came, and naked I shall return." Like Job understood, nothing in this world belongs to him. His job, his business, his cattle, everything belongs to God. I came naked. How many came with a big bungalows when you came into this earth? You carried a bungalow behind your back. No. Anybody came with 10 tulas of gold? We came naked.
और हम नंगे आए और किसी ने भी कुछ
Did
नहीं
you ever
किया।
seen in the funeral people are going with the gold and the luggages back?
और क्या फ्यूनरल में देखते हैं कि लोग सामान लेके जाते हैं।
He got this perspective right. When you're walking with God, you get your perspective right. He says, "I came naked. I'm going to go naked."
और उसने कहा कि मैं नंगा आया हूँ और वैसे ही जाऊंगा।
Wow. Blessed be the name of the Lord. The song we sang today.
और परमेश्वर का धन्यवाद हो।
The reason we sang that song is because of Job.
और एक अय्यूब के लिए
Lord, blessed be the name of the Lord. He goes on to say.
वो कहता है कि परमेश्वर का नाम धन्य हो।
Okay, the Lord gave. The Lord has taken away.
परमेश्वर ने दिया
By
और
the way,
दिया।
from birth to death of our life, whatever we have in between belongs to God.
और जन्म से मृत्यु के बीच जो भी बीच में वो परमेश्वर का है।
So why are you worried about storing it?
तो आप क्यों चिंता कर रहे हो उसके बारे में?
Whatever you have in between belongs to what? God, and He has every right. He can take any time. He can give any
और
time.
वो ले सकता है और कभी भी दे सकता है।
Can you hear me today?
क्या आप सुन
Can
रहे
He
हैं?
take it?
क्या वो ले सकता है?
Yes? Can He give it back?
क्या वो वापस दे सकता है?
Okay. I like this verse, isn't it? The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
परमेश्वर ने दिया और लिया, उसका नाम धन्य हो।
And then the next verse He says, through all of this, Job did not sin.
और इसमें अय्यूब ने पाप नहीं किया।
Okay, he didn't go to God with, no, God, you did this, I'm going to curse you.
और उसने ये नहीं कहा कि परमेश्वर ये किया मैं आपको कोसूंगा।
No, he worshipped God, he never sinned.
उसने पाप नहीं किया।
He didn't accuse God.
उसने उस पर दोष
God, why
नहीं
this
लगाया।
sickness to me?
और क्यों ये बीमारी?
Why this problem to me?
क्यों ये परेशानी?
Why you took away all my prosperity?
क्यों आपने मेरा समृद्धि ले ली?
God, he didn't go to that God. He said, God, I have nothing to lose.
उसने कहा मेरे पास कुछ भी नहीं है खोने के लिए।
And none of these things because he was walking with God.
क्योंकि वो परमेश्वर में चल रहा है।
He knows that he can trust him.
उसको पता था वो उस पर विश्वास कर सकता
And he
है।
will never do any harm for him. By the way, these three things are important in marriage.
और ये तीन चीजें महत्वपूर्ण है
Okay,
शादी
if these
में।
three things fail, why today a lot of marriages fail?
और आज क्यों शादी टूट जाती है?
Because of these three reasons.
तीन कारण है।
Number one, the couple is not walking with God.
और दंपति परमेश्वर के साथ नहीं चल रहा है।
Number two, they can't trust each other.
वो एक दूसरे पे भरोसा नहीं कर रहे।
They're always wondering where my wife gone or where my husband has gone. They always couldn't trust each
और
other.
वो जो सोचते कहाँ गया ये और कहाँ गई वो।
Those marriages will never work.
वो काम नहीं करेगी शादी।
And and the other thing is, maybe he will harm me.
और दूसरा चीज शायद वो मुझे
I
चोट
know
पहुंचाएगा।
Christian couples don't give the bank accounts to their husbands because they think he would harm me, take the money and run away.
और मैं देखता हूँ कि वो लोग
When you get married, there's no two bank accounts.
और जब आपकी शादी होती है तो दो बैंक अकाउंट नहीं है।
Okay, there's no like yours and mine.
और आपका या मेरा।
That's why a lot of singles are not getting married. Get used to it. That's how it's going to be in the marriage.
और शादी में यही होगा।
This is very important. When these three things are not perfect, any marriage is going to be destroyed.
और अगर ये तीन चीजें नहीं है तो शादी टूट जाएगी।
In closing, storms come suddenly.
और तूफान अचानक आते हैं।
When you and me are not expecting.
जब हम जो है सोचते भी नहीं।
Disciples just had a feast, remember?
और चेले भोजन कर रहे थे।
Okay, they carried 12 baskets back.
इन्होंने 12 बास्केट वापस लेके
And then they encountered with a storm.
और फिर तूफान आया।
12 baskets full.
12 बास्केट भरे
They're
हुए।
wondering how to eat. The next moment, all is drowned.
और अगले क्षण में सब कुछ डूब गया।
Can you imagine that? No storm, feast and the storm.
और भोजन और
Acts chapter 27, Paul is saying, God has called me to Rome. That's why he's taking me to Rome. And then he gets into the ship is destroyed. Can you imagine? The whole ship is destroyed. 276 people, all are safe, but the ship is no more.
और पूरे नाव डूब गई, सब
Storm
डूब गए।
came suddenly.
अचानक आया वो तूफान।
Jonah was sleeping right below the ship. He thought he will escape every kind of storm.
और योना नीचे सो रहा था नाव में।
And 4 guys went down and picked him up and brought him up to the storm.
और 4 लोग उसको जाकर ऊपर लेके आए।
Sometimes we hide, isn't it? अभी कोई भी नहीं पकड़ेगा. मैं block करेगा 4 numbers. I will do this. I will do that. Nobody will catch me.
और कोई मुझे नहीं पकड़ेगा।
God sends 4 men and bring him up, guys.
परमेश्वर 4 व्यक्तियों को भेजता है।
And then he comes out, and there he is.
और यहाँ पर है वो।
And then he is vomited out in Nineveh,
और फिर निनेवा में बाहर आया वो।
Bay of Bengal. And then he looks green color. By the way, many scholars believe the Ninevites believed in Jonah because he looked green
और
coming out of the fish.
स्कॉलर्स बोलते हैं योना पर विश्वास किया लोगों ने क्योंकि वो पूरा हरा हो चुका था।
Okay, being in the fish.
और मछली में रहने से।
Okay, that's good, isn't it? Here are 3 applications for us today.
और 3 सिद्धांत है।
Job had God even when he lost everything.
अय्यूब के पास परमेश्वर था, चाहे उसने सब कुछ खो भी
We
दिया।
might lose everything in our lives, we could still have God.
हम सब कुछ खो सकते हैं लेकिन परमेश्वर रहेगा।
Hallelujah! Come on, bigger hallelujah. I can lose everything, but I have God.
मैं सब कुछ खो दूंगा लेकिन परमेश्वर।
There was a
रहेगा।
businessman where he lost his son.
और एक बिजनेसमैन ने अपना बेटा खोया।
A week later, his whole business caught on fire. His factory caught on fire. Everything was
और
burned.
थोड़े दिन बाद उसकी फैक्ट्री में आग लग गई।
He is a Christian believer.
वो विश्वासी है।
And then he was very discouraged. He told his wife to take the 4 daughters and go for a holiday.
और उसने अपनी पत्नी से कहा कि आप 4 बेटियों को जाकर
हम
छुट्टी
लोग
पे
सब, we
जाओ।
all will go for an holiday.
हम सब छुट्टी पे
On the
जाएंगे।
day they were going for an holiday, he couldn't go for some emergency meeting.
और उस छुट्टी के दिन वो नहीं जा सका वहाँ
He
पे।
sent his daughter and his wife, 4 daughters and his wife for the holiday.
उसने अपनी पत्नी और 4 बेटियों को भेजा।
As they were sailing, in the middle of it, they were hit by a storm.
और फिर समुद्र में तूफान आया।
It's a true story.
और ये सच्ची कहानी है।
And all the four of them got drowned. All the 4 daughters got drowned.
और चारों बेटी जो है डूबकर मर गए।
His wife sent a telegram saying that all died left alone.
और उसकी वाइफ ने टेलीग्राम लिखा कि सब मर गए।
He lost his son, he lost his business, he lost his 4 daughters, and he was fully broken.
और वो सब कुछ खो दिया था उसने और टूट गया।
A month later, he and his wife decided, let's go to the same spot where our children are drowned.
और फिर उन दोनों ने फैसला लिया कि हम वहाँ जाएंगे जहाँ पे हमारी बेटियों ने डूब गए।
They took a boat and they went there.
वो नाव लेकर गए।
And that's when God spoke to him.
और परमेश्वर ने बात की उससे।
And he wrote this beautiful hymn. It is written, it is well, it is well, it is well with my soul. How many of you know that song?
और उसने ये गाना लिखा।
Because you know what? He lost everything.
उसने सब कुछ खो दिया।
He still has God.
उसके पास परमेश्वर है।
That hymn was one of the famous hymn. Even for years later, we sing it.
और हम सालों बाद भी वो भी गाना गाते हैं।
Why? Because in God, there's always more.
क्योंकि परमेश्वर में हमेशा है।
Job holded the things. The second principle, Job holded the things of this world very lightly.
और अय्यूब ने इस दुनिया की चीजों को बहुत आसानी
He
से
had all
पकड़ा था।
this, he had all this, but they are not important in his life.
ये है लेकिन इतना महत्व नहीं है।
They didn't control his life.
उसका नियंत्रण नहीं किया।
A famous missionary to India, Corrie ten Boom, she said, "Do not hold the things of this world too tightly."
वो कोरी टेन बूम ने कहा कि आप चीजों को हल्के से पकड़ो दुनिया के।
Okay, you know, halke, just on the tip of your finger.
और अपनी उंगली के आखिर तक।
Because when it goes, it doesn't hurt you.
क्योंकि अगर वो जाएगा तो आपको चोट नहीं पहुंचेगी।
Some people hold things very tightly.
कई बार लोग जो है बहुत
Oh, my job. Come here, Jeet. Okay, my job.
मेरा काम,
Okay, come here, my job. Come up. My job.
मेरा काम,
My job. I am not leaving.
मैं नहीं छोड़ूंगा।
What happens?
क्या होगा?
It's gone.
वो चला जाएगा।
मेरा पत्नी, मेरा husband. मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं. It's gone. We treasure those things.
हम उसको पकड़े रहते हैं।
But how should we hold it?
कि कैसे पकड़े हम? बहुत हल्की से।
Just run. It's gone. Is that good? Job understood the principle in his life.
अय्यूब को ये समझा।
You can go, okay. Job holded the things of this world very lightly.
अय्यूब ने बहुत हल्के से पकड़ा है
Thank God for
चीजें।
education. Thank God for the businesses. Thank God for the jobs that we have.
और धन्यवाद काम और नौकरी ये सब,
But hold them very lightly.
लेकिन उसको बहुत हल्के से पकड़ो।
God becomes number one in my life.
परमेश्वर पहला होना चाहिए।
Thirdly, Job knew there's a spiritual rhythm.
और अय्यूब को पता था कि एक आत्मिक युद्ध है।
I am not an accident here on this earth.
मैं जो एक एक्सीडेंट नहीं हुई इस दुनिया
I
में।
have an enemy.
मेरे पास एक दुश्मन
I
है
am a soldier on this earth.
और मैं एक सैनिक हूँ यहाँ
A
पर।
soldier, you know what a soldier does? He's always prepared.
और एक सैनिक हमेशा तैयार रहता है
Like, you know, he's always prepared for any kind of storm.
और हर एक तूफान के लिए।
He could face any, you know, in the army, two of my brothers are from defense.
तो मेरे दो भाई जो डिफेंस में हैं
Okay, they tell me they are always alert.
और वो कहते हैं कि वो हमेशा चौकन्ना रहते हैं।
Okay, whether one used to work in Navy and he said he was always on alert on the ship.
और एक जो नेवी में था वो कहते थे हम हमेशा
One was
चौकन्ना
in the
रहते
Air
हैं
Force and he would say he was always alert at the borders.
और हमेशा चौकन्ना रहते हैं।
They never sleep when they are on duty.
वो सोते नहीं काम पे,
Okay, they are constantly awake.
वो जगे रहते हैं।
We are soldiers on this earth.
हम सैनिक हैं इस दुनिया में।
First Peter 5:8 says Satan is a roaring lion.
और शैतान जो गरजने वाला
He is
शेर
waiting
है,
when you just take a nap, he can pounce on us.
वो सोचते हैं कब ये सोए और मैं उस पर कूदूं।
We have an invisible enemy,
वो दिखता नहीं है हमारा दुश्मन,
but we have an enemy.
लेकिन वो है।
And he is also very envious about our life.
और वो जलन करता है हमारे जीवन से।
No, he hates our life.
वो
He
नफरत
hates
करता है।
our walk of faith. He hates our families.
वो परिवार से नफरत करता
He
है
hates everything and he wants to constantly destroy our lives.
और वो चाहता है कि हमारे
Oh,
जीवन में
look at
नाश
you,
हो।
put a hedge around him, take it away, I will destroy his life.
और मैं नाश करूंगा, आपको बाड़ा हटा दूं।
It's amazing. God loves us. God takes care of us.
परमेश्वर प्रेम करता है।
Psalms, Isaiah 42 we just read. Remember, even when we go through the waters, He's with us.
और उस गहरे पानियों में भी वो है।
Like keep God first in our lives.
परमेश्वर को पहला रखो।
God help us to walk with you.
परमेश्वर मदद करो
Help
कि
us
हम
to
आपके
walk
साथ
by
चले,
faith.
विश्वास से चले।
It's amazing. Invisible. And remember, anything that happens in our life it's if you're walking with God and things come into your life, it's not an accident.
अगर आप परमेश्वर के साथ चल रहे हो, चीजें आएगी तो वो एक्सीडेंट नहीं,
There's an enemy. He's against our life.
वो हमारे विरुद्ध है।
He'll come against us when we do Bible school. He'll come against us when we go to mission fields. He will come against us when we are walking with God. We are discipling people, growing in the Lord. He will come against us.
और जब हम उसमें बढ़ेंगे तो फिर वो आएगा।
He's
हमारे
not
लिए।
interested in big churches which do nothing.
वो बड़े चर्च के पीछे नहीं जो कुछ नहीं करते।
There are good churches which are big, but I'm saying about churches which don't do anything, no gospel, nothing.
और ऐसा
He says that's okay. Let me fill those churches with more people.
और वो उनको भरता है उस चर्च में जहाँ पर वो सुसमाचार नहीं देते,
But he hates churches which preaches the gospel.
लेकिन उनसे नफरत करता है जो सुसमाचार
So
बांटता
walk
है।
by faith.
विश्वास से
Have
चलो,
God in your life
परमेश्वर रखो
more than anything else.
सभी चीजों से,
Okay, because we have an enemy.
क्योंकि हमारे पास एक
He's looking
दुश्मन
for
है
opportunities to attack us.
और वो मौका ढूंढ रहा है हम पर
And
attack करने।
storms come to everybody.
और तूफान सबके पास आते हैं,
Don't wait till it comes.
रुके मत उसके आने तक,
Let have God as the center of those.
और परमेश्वर रहे।
Amen. Amen.